Imagine a tense war scenario. The kingdom stands on the brink of disaster, shrouded in uncertainty as a ruthless enemy army advances, intent on destruction. The people feel hopeless, trapped in the shadow of an imminent massacre. But just when all seems lost, something miraculous happens. An angel, a celestial being sent by God, appears on the battlefield. What follows is nothing short of awe-inspiring. This angel, with divine power, defeats an astonishing 185,000 soldiers, turning the tide and saving the kingdom from ruin. In today's video, we'll dive into every detail of this remarkable event. So buckle up, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive into this story from history. Our story takes place in the turbulent times of ancient kingdoms, where we meet a truly remarkable figure, King Hezekiah of Judah. Hezekiah, the son of Ahaz, ascended to the throne at the young age of 25, around 715 BC, after the death of his father. But this wasn't just a routine passing of the crown. Hezekiah stood out because of his deep, unwavering commitment to the God of Israel. From the very beginning of his reign, he showed his devotion to the Lord in ways that would shape his legacy. His first major act as king was an ambitious campaign to purify the temple in Jerusalem. He recognized the sacredness of the temple and took it upon himself to cleanse it of any signs of idolatry that had crept in over the years. Altars dedicated to pagan gods were demolished, and idols that had turned the people's hearts away from God were removed. But Hezekiah didn't stop at tearing down idols. He went further. He established practices and rituals that re-centered worship around the Lord, restoring the temple's spiritual purity. This wasn't just a symbolic act. It was a reflection of Hezekiah's sincere dedication. His passion for the Lord was evident, and he didn't shy away from challenging deeply rooted practices that had led the people of Judah astray. Under Hezekiah's leadership, worship in the temple was revitalized, sparking a spiritual renewal across Judah. There's an interesting story about a bronze serpent that Moses had set up during the Exodus, as recorded in the book of Numbers. Originally, this serpent had been created as a symbol of divine healing. Anyone bitten by venomous snakes could look upon it and be healed. However, over time, people began to worship the bronze serpent itself, calling it Nehushtan, and it became an idol. This went against the core principle of worshiping only one God. When Hezekiah began his religious reforms, he made the bold decision to destroy the bronze serpent. This wasn't just a break from idolatry, it was a powerful statement of Hezekiah's commitment to restoring pure worship of the God of Israel. Naturally, this move wasn't popular with everyone. There was resistance and criticism, but Hezekiah's faith remained steadfast. To him, this was more than just an act of religious zeal. It was an expression of deep trust in God's power. By purifying the temple and abolishing idolatry, Hezekiah was laying the groundwork for divine intervention in his life and in the life of his nation. And indeed, the Lord responded to Hezekiah's faithfulness. Blessings followed, as God revealed himself as a protector to those who sought him wholeheartedly. The story of Hezekiah isn't just a chapter in Judah's history. It's a powerful reminder of how sincere devotion to God can transform not only a king's life, but an entire nation. Hezekiah's legacy endures as a testament to the importance of placing God at the center of our lives and our communities. However, the worst was yet to come. In an era marked by political upheaval and constant threats, a new menace loomed on the horizon: Sennacherib, the king of Assyria. This was a time when military power defined nations, and Assyria, led by Sennacherib, was one of the most formidable empires. The Assyrian army, notorious for its cruelty and military prowess, now posed an immediate threat to the surrounding kingdoms, including Judah. Sennacherib's ambitions were clear. He had set his sights on Jerusalem, the prized city of the region. Hezekiah, a devout king, found himself cornered by this Assyrian threat. Seeking a peaceful solution, he attempted to persuade Sennacherib to spare Jerusalem. In a desperate gesture, he offered an enormous tribute, gathering treasures from both the temple and the palace in Jerusalem. This tribute was monumental: 10.5 tons of silver and over a ton of gold. It was a sacrifice that showed the depth of Hezekiah's desire to protect his people and his sacred city. But Sennacherib was not moved. In the arrogance typical of conquerors, he dismissed Hezekiah's offering and openly challenged both the king and the God of Israel. He boasted that, just as the gods of other nations had been powerless against him, so too would the God of Israel fail to stop his advance. This taunt only heightened the tension, making it clear that divine intervention was the only hope left. Faced with the failure of his peace efforts, Hezekiah turned to his ultimate source of strength, prayer and faith in the Lord. The biblical account describes his reaction to Sennacherib's ultimatum. He tore his clothes and wore a sackcloth, a traditional symbol of mourning and despair in Jewish culture. Though his heart was filled with fear, his faith remained unshaken. Instead of surrendering to despair, Hezekiah took action. He went to the temple to seek God's presence, laying his troubles before the Lord. Hezekiah also sought guidance from the prophet Isaiah. In a show of humility, he sent a delegation to Isaiah, dressed in sackcloth as a sign of supplication. In this moment of crisis, the prophet Isaiah delivered a message of comfort and reassurance from the Lord. "Do not be afraid of the words you have heard, with which the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me," said the Lord through Isaiah. "Behold, I will put a spirit in him, so that he shall hear a rumor and return to his own land." This promise was a balm to Hezekiah's troubled heart, offering divine reassurance. God was not indifferent to the cries of his faithful servant. The promise was clear: Jerusalem would not fall to the Assyrians. Isaiah even prophesied that Sennacherib would be forced to return home, where he would ultimately meet his end. Strengthened by this divine promise, Hezekiah put his trust in the Lord, placing his faith not in military tactics, but in God's word. The next day, the walls of Jerusalem stood against the ominous presence of the Assyrian army, led by Sennacherib. But as the city braced for its darkest hour, something miraculous happened. In the stillness of the night, when only the faint murmurs of the Assyrian camp broke the silence, divine intervention struck. The Lord sent an angel, a radiant, celestial figure, to confront the enemy. In a single night, this angel defeated 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. It was a victory beyond human comprehension, achieved not through human strength but by divine power. When morning came, the people of Jerusalem ventured out to see the enemy camp, only to be met with an astounding sight. 185,000 lifeless bodies lay scattered where the Assyrian army had once stood. The silence of the defeated camp was broken only by murmurs of awe and gratitude. This wasn't just a military victory. It was a visible manifestation of divine protection. Sennacherib himself managed to escape the destruction and return to Nineveh. But his story didn't end well. Despite his mockery of the God of Israel, he met a tragic fate. While worshipping in his temple, he was assassinated by his own sons, Adramelech and Sharezer. This unexpected twist served as a stark reminder that arrogance and defiance against God come with consequences. As for King Hezekiah, his trials were not over. After the victory over Sennacherib, he fell gravely ill. The prophet Isaiah came to him with somber news, telling him that he would not recover and should prepare for death. But Hezekiah, ever faithful, turned to God in heartfelt prayer, reminding him of his devotion and pleading for mercy. Moved by Hezekiah's sincerity, God sent Isaiah back with a new message. Hezekiah's life would be extended by 15 more years. Isaiah applied a poultice of figs to Hezekiah's boil, and miraculously, he was healed. This wasn't just a story of recovery. It was a testament to God's willingness to listen to the prayers of those who faithfully seek Him. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and comment below if you've ever felt God's presence in your life after praying. Take care, and God bless.